You know, after 50 years in medicine, there's one truth I've come to trust more than any textbook or medical journal. It's not always the big things that take us down. It's not the dramatic emergencies or rare conditions that slowly wear us out. No, more often than not, it's the quiet habits, the small, everyday choices we barely think about, the things we do on autopilot. And among them, one of the most overlooked yet powerful is how we treat our bodies at night, especially what we eat before we sleep. Hello there, my name is Dr. Edward Langston. I'm what you might call an old-school doctor. I practiced internal medicine for over 5 decades, saw thousands of patients, held more hands than I can count, and spent many nights sitting by hospital beds long after the world had gone to sleep. I've officially retired now. No more charts, no more 12-hour shifts. But I've never stopped caring. Truth be told, you don't really stop being a doctor. The coat comes off, yes, but the calling stays. And people, well, they still reach out. They still ask questions. They still need someone who listens, not just to their symptoms, but to their stories. That's why I'm here today. Not as some voice of authority, not to lecture or scold, but to share something I've learned the long way, by walking beside people in their hardest moments. You see, over the years, I began noticing patterns. The folks who struggled with energy, with sleep, with memory, with blood pressure, with heart issues, many of them had one thing in common. It wasn't always genetics. It wasn't bad luck. Sometimes it was simply what they ate at night. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or even your 80s, your body is in a different season now. A beautiful, wise season, but one that needs a bit more care, a bit more gentleness. Digestion slows down. The heart becomes more sensitive. Sleep becomes more fragile. And the foods that once brought comfort may now quietly cause strain. I've seen it time and again. Good people making innocent choices, paying a heavy price they never saw coming. So today I want to talk to you about 5 specific foods I've come to consider risky when eaten too close to bedtime. Not because they're inherently bad, but because your body at this stage in life deserves a little extra kindness. And avoiding these foods might be the simplest, most powerful step you can take toward better rest, better mornings, and better days. So if you've got a cup of tea or a warm chair nearby, settle in. Imagine we're sitting across from each other like old friends. I'll walk you through everything, just like I used to in my little office, where the conversations were long, the advice was personal, and every word came from a place of care. Shall we begin? Let's start with the first one, the one I've seen cause more quiet trouble than most people realize. Heavy red meat at night. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to take your steak away from you. I've enjoyed my fair share of prime rib over the years, and I know how comforting a warm, hearty meal can be, especially on a cold evening when the body seems to crave something rich, something that sticks to your ribs. But here's the thing. The very foods that bring comfort can sometimes become a burden when our bodies are trying to rest. You see, red meat, especially cuts that are fatty and heavily seasoned, takes time and energy to digest. When you were 40, your stomach could handle that without blinking. But after 60, 70, 80, digestion slows down. Your body needs more time to break things down. And when you go to bed shortly after a big meat-heavy dinner, your stomach keeps working while the rest of you is trying to wind down. It's like asking a tired crew to stay late for a double shift while everyone else goes home. That internal effort, that imbalance creates stress. Stress that doesn't feel like stress. It shows up as restless sleep, a racing heart at midnight, a spike in blood pressure around 2 a.m., acid reflux that creeps up silently and wakes you coughing, or, in more serious cases, something more dangerous. I still remember Robert. He was 72, no major health issues, had always been active and upbeat. One evening he went to a family barbecue, late dinner, ribs, brisket, the works. He went to bed feeling full, maybe a little sluggish, but nothing alarming. By morning he was gone. His wife found him unresponsive. The autopsy showed a silent arrhythmia during sleep, likely triggered by a combination of heavy fat intake, undiagnosed sleep apnea, and an already tired heart. Now let me be clear, red meat didn't kill Robert, but the timing of it paired with how his body responded played a role. And that's the point I want to make here. It's not about demonizing food. It's about respecting the way your body has changed. If you still enjoy meat, by all means, keep it in your life. Just shift it earlier in the day. Lunch or an early dinner around 4:30 or 5 gives your system time to do its job before bedtime. And if you need a little something in the evening, try something gentler. A soft boiled egg, a bit of yogurt with cinnamon, or one of my favorites, lentil soup with a dash of turmeric. It's warm, it's grounding, and it lets your body rest. The goal here isn't to deprive yourself, it's to give your body a fighting chance to restore, repair, and recharge without being interrupted by a digestive system that's still hard at work when the lights go out. Trust me, the more ease you give your body at night, the more energy you'll feel when the sun comes up. And at our age, every good morning is a gift worth protecting. Now, if heavy red meat is the heavy weight that lingers too long in your stomach, then the next one is sneakier, sweeter, and that's desserts. The cookies, cakes, and late-night sweets that feel like a reward at the end of a long day. I get it, truly, I do. There's something so human about reaching for a little sweetness after dinner. It reminds us of celebration, of comfort, of those small pleasures we've earned. I've had patients who said, "Doc, it's just one slice of pie. It helps me relax." And sure, on the surface it seems harmless, but inside the body, especially a body that's aging, something else is happening. When you eat sugar at night, your blood sugar spikes quickly, giving you a short burst of satisfaction, but then it crashes. And that crash doesn't wait until morning. It usually hits a few hours later, right around 2 or 3 a.m., when your body should be resting quietly. Instead, what happens? You wake up drenched in sweat, or you feel anxious for no reason, or you have to get up and go to the bathroom again. And maybe you don't even remember the dream you were having, but you know it was strange, restless, heavy. That's not your imagination. That's your blood sugar crashing and your nervous system going into alert mode. And the older we get, the more sensitive we become to these swings. Our pancreas doesn't pump out insulin the way it used to. Our systems just aren't as quick to stabilize themselves anymore. I remember Carol, she was 74, lovely woman, sharp mind, active lifestyle, but she kept complaining about tingling in her legs at night, strange vivid dreams, and waking up exhausted despite sleeping for 7 or 8 hours. After some gentle questioning, I found out she had a nightly ritual, a square of chocolate fudge after dinner. Just one, every night. She thought it was harmless, but we removed it just as an experiment. Within 3 weeks, her symptoms improved dramatically. The tingling eased, the dreams faded, and for the first time in months she told me she woke up feeling rested. It's not about being strict, it's about being wise. Sugar at the right time and in the right amount isn't evil, but in the evening it works against you. It's like inviting a marching band into your house right as you're trying to fall asleep. So what can you do instead? If you still crave something after dinner, try a warm cup of chamomile tea, maybe with a slice of banana. Add a pinch of cinnamon. It helps regulate blood sugar and gives that touch of warmth we all seem to crave at night. And if fruit is something you enjoy, move it to earlier in the day when your body can handle it with more ease. The goal isn't to say goodbye to pleasure, it's to time it better, to work with your body, not against it. Because here's the truth, after decades of giving, serving, working, raising families, and showing up for everyone else, you deserve rest. Real rest. Deep, healing rest. Not broken sleep that leaves you dragging your feet by noon. And often, the difference between a restless night and a restorative one, it's sitting right there on your plate after dinner. And while we're still in the kitchen, let me talk to you about something that's become a quiet ritual for many folks, especially in the later years. A small plate of cheese, a few slices of cured meat, maybe some crackers. It feels familiar, comforting, even a bit elegant. I used to have a patient, Harold. 78, widowed, lived alone but always well-dressed, kind eyes. Every night around 9 o'clock he'd fix himself a little evening snack, sharp cheddar, a couple slices of salami, maybe a glass of club soda with lemon. He said it helped him wind down, and for a while it did, until he started waking up with a racing heart, headaches, weird dreams. Sometimes he'd find himself pacing the hallway in the dark, not knowing why. When he came to see me, we ruled out the big stuff, no stroke, no arrhythmia, no brain tumor. But then I asked him, what do your evenings look like? And when he told me about his cheese and meat routine, something clicked. Here's what most people don't know. Aged cheeses and cured meats, things like cheddar, blue cheese, salami, prosciutto, even pepperoni, contain a compound called tyramine. It's naturally occurring, but it can stimulate the release of norepinephrine, a hormone that raises your blood pressure and keeps your brain more alert. It's the kind of thing you might want in the morning, not when you're trying to fall asleep. That alone can be enough to interfere with your sleep cycles. But there's more. These foods are also packed with salt. Salt retains fluid, raises nighttime blood pressure, and makes your kidneys work overtime. That leads to swollen feet, tighter rings on your fingers, and of course, frequent trips to the bathroom. Nothing ruins a night's rest faster than having to shuffle out of bed 3 or 4 times before sunrise. And let's not forget digestion. These foods are dense, rich in fat, and slow to break down. Eating them late means your stomach stays active well past bedtime, which can raise your core temperature and pull your body away from the repair work it's supposed to be doing at night, like balancing hormones, healing tissue, and restoring brain chemistry. All of that for a little plate of cheese and meat? I know, it seems unfair. But the body in this season of life is a bit more delicate than it used to be, and it needs our cooperation. I told Harold all of this gently, and to his credit, he listened. He moved his snack earlier in the day, around 3 or 4 p.m., and in the evenings he switched to a warm bowl of miso broth or a bit of fruit with cottage cheese. Within a couple of weeks, his nighttime heart palpitations disappeared. He started sleeping longer stretches, and I'll never forget when he looked at me and said, "Doc, I feel like I got my nights back." So here's what I tell everyone now. If you love cheese, don't give it up. Just give it a better time slot. Make it part of lunch or a mid-afternoon treat. And when the sun starts to go down, shift toward things that are soft, hydrating, easy to digest. Steamed vegetables, a small serving of rice, maybe some grilled fish or lentils if you need something warm. These are the kinds of changes that seem small, almost silly even, but at this stage in life, the little things are the big things. And when you start waking up with less swelling, fewer bathroom trips, and a steadier heartbeat, you'll know your body noticed, and it's grateful. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you, something that seems harmless, even healthy. A small piece of dark chocolate after dinner, or a nice warm cup of tea to close the day. You wouldn't think twice about it. Neither did Ruth. She was 82, still sharp, still full of grace. She had this lovely nightly routine. After dinner, she'd sit in her favorite chair by the window, sip a mug of green tea, and enjoy a square of dark chocolate. She told me it helped her feel calm, like a little reward for making it through the day. But over time, something started changing. Ruth began having strange dreams, vivid, almost surreal. She found herself waking up 2 or 3 times a night, and in the morning, even after what should have been a full night's sleep, she felt foggy, heavy, as if the night hadn't done its job. She came to me asking if it was just age, and sure, some of it always is. But when I gently inquired about her evenings, and she described that little ritual of hers, a light went on. Because here's the truth most people don't realize. Chocolate, even in small amounts, contains both caffeine and theobromine. These are stimulants. They might not hit you like a strong cup of coffee, but they still affect your nervous system. They raise your heart rate. They interfere with melatonin, the hormone that signals the brain it's time to sleep. And they linger in your system long after the lights are out. The older we get, the longer these substances stay active in our bloodstream. Our livers don't metabolize them quite as efficiently as they used to. So what once gave you a little kick in your 30s now becomes a quiet thief of rest in your 70s or 80s. And chocolate isn't the only culprit. There are hidden sources of caffeine people don't think about. Decaf coffee? Still has caffeine, just less. Green tea and white tea, often marketed as calming, but unless labeled caffeine-free, they contain enough to matter. Certain over-the-counter pain meds, weight loss supplements, even energy waters, all hiding small but significant doses of caffeine or similar stimulants. It doesn't take much, especially at our age. Ruth, to her credit, was open to change. She swapped her green tea for chamomile, left the chocolate for an occasional midday treat instead of a nightly one. Within a week, just 1 week, her dreams softened, her sleep deepened, and she told me, smiling, "Mornings feel like mornings again." That's the power of awareness. Not guilt, not restriction, just paying attention. So if you find yourself lying awake longer than you used to, or waking up too often, or feeling oddly wired after a peaceful evening, consider what might be sneaking into your system without you realizing it. Check your tea labels, read the fine print on supplements, and when in doubt, move those stimulating foods and drinks to earlier in the day. Before 3 or 4 p.m., even better, replace them with nighttime allies. Warm milk with nutmeg, rooibos tea, a slice of banana, a few walnuts. Things that tell your body it's safe now, you can rest. Because at this stage of life, sleep isn't a luxury. It's essential medicine, and you deserve to receive it fully, deeply, and without interference. And now, let's talk about the one people are most reluctant to hear about: alcohol. A small glass of wine, a little bourbon to take the edge off, a warm sip of something to help you drift off. For many, especially in later years, it's become part of the evening ritual. Not a party, not indulgence, just comfort. A quiet toast to the day that's done. And trust me, I understand that deeply. Marvin did too. He was 76, kind-hearted, used to be an engineer. Every night before bed, he'd make himself a hot toddy, honey, lemon, and a shot of whiskey. "It helps me fall asleep," he told me. Been doing it for years. And sure enough, he did fall asleep quickly. But the sleep, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. He'd wake up at 2:30 or 3 in the morning, wide-eyed, heart pounding, sometimes sweating. Then he couldn't fall back asleep. He'd start his day groggy, off balance, low on energy, and he couldn't understand why. Here's what I explained to him, and what I wish more people knew. Alcohol doesn't help you sleep, it helps you sedate. And that's not the same thing. When you drink before bed, alcohol can make you drowsy. Yes, you may drift off faster. But it blocks REM sleep, which is the deeply restorative phase of the sleep cycle. That's the phase your brain uses to process emotions, file memories, and repair itself. As we age, we naturally get less REM sleep. Add alcohol to the mix, and we're robbing ourselves of what little we have left. But it goes further than that. Alcohol raises your core body temperature. It elevates your heart rate in the second half of the night, just when your body's supposed to be entering its most peaceful, healing state. It also signals your liver to start metabolizing, turning the night into a work shift for your organs instead of a chance to rest. And perhaps most concerning, it impairs your balance. Even one drink can dull your coordination, so when you get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, which many of us do, your risk of falling quietly increases. I've seen too many cases where one bad step in a dark hallway led to a fractured hip and a long, painful recovery that could have been avoided. Marvin, to his credit, took it seriously. He agreed to skip the nightcap for just 1 week, just to see. Instead, he switched to warm herbal tea, sometimes with honey. 7 days later, he came into my office and said, "Doc, I didn't know I could feel this clear in the morning." That's the power of a simple shift. You're not giving up something, you're reclaiming something. It doesn't mean you can never enjoy a glass of wine again, but timing matters. Try it with lunch instead of dinner. Celebrate earlier in the day, when your body can process it more safely. And after sundown, let your drinks work with your rest, not against it. Warm teas, infused waters, A golden milk latte if you're feeling fancy. Your evening drink can still be a ritual, but now it becomes one that heals you rather than quietly wearing you down. Because at this stage in life, your nights matter. They are your repair window, your foundation for every day that follows, and every choice you make before bedtime is a quiet investment in tomorrow's clarity, steadiness, and strength. So here we are, my friend. We've walked through 5 small but powerful changes, 5 quiet choices that could mean the difference between a restless night and a restful one, between waking up tired and waking up ready. And if you've stayed with me this far, that tells me something very important about you. It tells me that you're not done learning, that you still care about your health, about your future, and that matters more than you know. I've spent a lifetime watching people fight their bodies, pushing through fatigue, ignoring warning signs, telling themselves it's just age. But I've also seen the incredible things that happen when someone pauses, listens, and chooses to treat their body not as a machine to force, but as a companion to honor. That's what this whole conversation has been about. Not fear, not restriction, not shame, but respect, awareness, and a kind of quiet courage. Because at this stage in life, your body is speaking more softly, but what it says matters more than ever. A little swelling, a bit of indigestion, an extra trip to the bathroom, these aren't just quirks. They're signals, gentle nudges, invitations to adjust. And the beautiful thing is, you can. It doesn't take fancy equipment, expensive programs, or 10-step routines. It just takes attention, a little curiosity, a willingness to shift. You've made it this far in life for a reason. You've endured, adapted, overcome, and now you have the chance to do something even more powerful. To live your later years not in reaction, but in intention. So tonight, when you go to prepare your evening snack, maybe you'll pause, maybe you'll remember this old doctor's voice in the back of your mind, and maybe, just maybe, you'll choose something a little lighter. And if you do, if you sleep just a bit deeper, wake up just a bit clearer, then I'll know this conversation was worth having. Thank you for spending this time with me. I may be retired from the clinic, but I'm still right here cheering for you, praying for your strength, and quietly hoping that each night from here forward becomes a little more peaceful. Take care of yourself. You've earned that peace. Good night.